One of the strangest things about Scorpio is that they often ruin perfectly good illusions. Not intentionally, not because they enjoy conflict, but because they notice things. The forced laugh, the hidden resentment, the attraction nobody is talking about, the problem everyone is pretending doesn't exist. Scorpio has a habit of seeing the crack in the wall that everyone else walks past. And once they see it, they can't pretend it's not there, which is why Scorpio's greatest gift and greatest curse may be exactly the same thing: their inability to believe something simply because everyone else does. For most people, a little bit of illusion is simply part of life. We soften difficult truths, we hide certain feelings. We present ourselves in ways that make social interactions smoother and relationships easier to maintain. In moderation, these things are often harmless, but Scorpio tends to experience them differently. What frustrates Scorpio is not that people are imperfect, it is the feeling that reality is being distorted. Imagine spending months getting to know someone only to discover that the version they presented to the world was carefully constructed. The interests, opinions, confidence, and even vulnerabilities you thought you understood were selected because they created a certain impression. To many people, that might feel disappointing. To Scorpio, it can feel like the ground shifting beneath their feet. Scorpio invests heavily in what they trust. Their friendships, relationships, and emotional bonds are rarely casual. They want to know who they are dealing with, not just who someone wants to be perceived as. That is why authenticity matters so much to them. Not because authenticity is always attractive. Sometimes the truth is messy, uncomfortable. Sometimes it reveals flaws that are difficult to accept, but at least it is real. A person who acknowledges their mistakes is often more compelling than someone determined to protect their image. Scorpio can work with the truth. What they struggle with is uncertainty disguised as certainty. The mask that presents itself as a face, the performance that pretends to be reality. Because once Scorpio begins to suspect that something is not genuine, their attention naturally turns toward a single question: what else am I not seeing? It is easy to talk about the illusions other people create, the masks they wear, stories they tell, truths they avoid. What is far more difficult is recognizing the illusions we create for ourselves. And Scorpio is not immune to this. In fact, some of Scorpio's most important life lessons come from discovering that they were not seeing clearly at all. Because there is a difference between seeing beneath the surface and believing you have uncovered the entire truth. Scorpio's intuition is powerful, but intuition is still filtered through human emotions. Fear, desire, and hope can influence it. A Scorpio may sense a deep connection where none exists. They may convince themselves that someone is hiding feelings they do not actually have. They may become attached to a version of a person that exists more in their imagination than in reality. I have a brother who has always cared more about appearances than I ever could understand. On paper, he has it all. He's career driven, academically accomplished, has a beautiful wife, two kids, and they even adopted shelter dogs. To an outsider, they look like the perfect, humanitarian, picture perfect family. To maintain their lavish, polished lifestyle, he and his wife dumped all the heavy lifting onto our mother. They had her doing backbreaking work, essentially passed their parenting and dog responsibilities over to her around the clock with no compensation. She provided support that went far beyond the occasional favor families do for one another. Their dogs would shed so much fur all over the house, adding yet another mess for my mother to constantly clean up and manage on top of everything else. When she could be enjoying her retirement, she constantly cleans up and manages the house. Maintaining this flawless image has come at a major cost to the rest of the family. Because my family doesn't really understand healthy boundaries, my mom goes along with it out of familial duty. I confronted them about the toll this was taking on our mother. Fast forward to recently, their oldest son, who is 3, was diagnosed with autism. Suddenly, they are scrambling to get him into full ABA programs and therapy sessions, but neither of them is willing to be a present parent and adjust their high paying careers because money and status are their entire identity. My brother hides the fact that he is the father of an autistic child. And online, his wife posted a beautiful family portrait taken at a professional studio with a long caption about how life brings unexpected challenges, but they are choosing to smile through it all. It's that feeling of deep disdain you get seeing someone post an inspiring, resilient narrative for public approval when in reality that lifestyle is actually being sustained by exhausting the people behind the scenes. It makes you wonder why people choose the title of parenthood when they have no intention of doing the actual everyday work that comes with it. Why sign up for parenthood if you're just going to outsource the responsibility? That is the exact kind of contradiction that Scorpio energy cannot tolerate. Closing, the people Scorpio trusts. For all the attention given to Scorpio's skepticism, people often overlook something important. Scorpio wants to trust, they want to believe in people. They want relationships that feel solid, genuine, and emotionally real. The problem is that trust means something different to Scorpio than it does to many other signs. For some people, trust is built through consistency. For others, it is built through shared experiences or good intentions. Scorpio certainly values those things, but what often creates trust for them is authenticity, not perfection, authenticity. A person does not become trustworthy in Scorpio's eyes because they always say the right thing. They become trustworthy because what you see is what you get. The people who are comfortable being themselves, even when it is inconvenient, who would rather tell an uncomfortable truth than maintain a comfortable illusion. People who are not performing for an audience. Because beneath Scorpio's reputation for intensity lies a surprisingly simple desire. They want something they can believe in, not because it is perfect, but because it is real. And in an age where entire identities can be curated, filtered, edited, and carefully packaged for public consumption, finding someone who is genuinely themselves can feel rarer than ever.